The sun had just cleared the maple-lined streets of Pinecrest as employees of Pinecrest Savings and Trust settled in for another routine day. Inside the comfortable lobby, polished oak counters gleamed under soft, recessed lighting. A brass bell jingled each time the front doors opened, admitting the morning's trickle of customers. Mr. and Mrs. Whitaker, the retired school teachers who always discussed the town gossip. Jamal, the ambitious coffee vendor entrepreneur, and young single mother Ana Reyes, her toddler clutching a plush bear as she fumbled for her purse. Teller stations hummed with quiet efficiency. Natalie, the head teller, balanced her cash drawer while chatting with Martha in the next cubicle about the upcoming fall festival. Through the glass window behind their desks, security cameras scanned the lobby, but none were angled toward the back parking lot. Outside, in the shadow of the bank's brick facade, a mother black bear and her 2-year-old cubs foraged among the shrubs and trash bins. The trio had wandered into town at dawn, following the scent of fallen apples and discarded bakery scraps. They remained oblivious to the humans just feet away, their soft rustling drowned out by the lobby's low murmur. At precisely 9:10 a.m., the cubs rolled playfully near a fire hydrant, tussling over a knobby pine cone. Their mother stood watchful, nostrils flaring as she inhaled the clean autumn air mixed with the faint aroma of coffee from inside. She gave a gentle chuff, her ears swiveling to pick up distant voices, and for the moment, nothing else disturbed the bank's orderly calm. Outside and in, the day began like any other, unaware that fate was about to unite the soft padding of bear paws with the cold steel of criminal intent, each poised to rewrite the morning's script in one astonishing bear-shaped roar. At 9:15 a.m., the peaceful hum of Pinecrest Savings and Trust shattered when 3 figures in black ski masks and dark tactical vests burst through the glass front doors. Their heavy boots slammed against the marble floor, echoes rippling through the lobby. The lead robber, a tall man with a gruff voice, waved a silver pistol and barked, "Everybody down!" Now! Customers screamed and dove behind counters and potted ferns. Natalie's heart pounded as she froze, hands inches from the register. The second robber sprinted to the nearest teller window, slamming a duffel bag onto the countertop and forcing the teller's trembling hand to open the till. The third man, stocky and impatient, rounded up the handful of patrons huddled near the loan desks, forcing them into the adjacent back office. Through the one-way mirror in her office, Manager Roberts watched in horror as the robbers sprinted behind the teller line. She keyed the silent alarm under her desk, but the robbers were already demanding vault codes. Their voice was sharp. "Hurry up or we start shooting!" The bank's surveillance cameras continued to roll, capturing every terrified face and trembling hand, but none focused on the parking lot, where, unseen, a mother bear stood beneath the morning sun, ready to answer a different kind of alarm. Outside the bank's steel-reinforced doors, the morning calm was shattered by a collision of primal instincts. Mama Bear, her glossy black coat dappled with morning light, had been foraging for apples at the edge of the parking lot when she heard the panicked shouts and clatter of boots against concrete. Her 2 cubs, barely larger than house cats, huddled behind a low hedge as she lumbered forward, driven by a mother's fierce protectiveness of anything in distress. She reached the curb just as the robbers herded terrified customers toward the back office. One cub, curious, padded onto the asphalt, ears flattening at the sudden clamor. Mama Bear reared onto her hind legs, rising over 6 feet tall. Her powerful forepaws struck the air, and she unleashed a deep, resonant growl that vibrated through the windshield glass. The sound was unlike any animal alarm the bandits had ever heard, an earth-shaking roar that seemed to carry the weight of ancient forests. Inside, the masked gunman at the teller window froze mid-threat, heart-hammering. Through the reinforced glass, he saw the bear's coal-black eyes fixed on him, nostrils flaring, claws flexing in warning. The other robbers turned, eyes widening as Mama Bear slammed her massive paws against the bank's illuminated sign, sending a shower of sparks into the air. In that electric moment, the robber demanding vault codes jerked back, his pistol hand trembling. His accomplice, pinned momentarily by the bear's sheer size and ferocity, tripped over the toddler Ana Reyes had set down at his feet. Natalie, the head teller, seized the chance to press the silent alarm again, and Manager Roberts began unlocking the office door to usher frightened customers to safety. Outside, Mama Bear dropped to all fours and bellowed, her roar cascading across the parking lot like a shockwave, before turning away to herd her cubs back into the shrubs. As the robber last in her path scrambled backward, dropping his duffel of cash, the three criminals stumbled through the front doors and fled into the street, their planned heist foiled by the thunderous arrival of an unexpected guardian. As Mama Bear's thunderous growl reverberated through the parking lot, the three robbers inside the bank snapped out of their criminal trance. The lead gunman, pistol raised between trembling fingers, staggered backward as a secondary roar, a sharp, commanding snap, shook the teller line. His mask slipped, revealing wide eyes and sweat beading on his brow. Behind him, the second robber spun to flee, colliding with a row of potted ferns that tumbled to the floor in a cascade of leaves and chipped ceramic. His foot caught the overturned planter, sending him sprawling chest first onto the marble, gun clattering across the floor. The clamor erupted into chaotic whispers as customers cowered beneath the counter. Mr. and Mrs. Whitaker scrambled to cover tearful Anna Reyes and her toddler, while Jamal, the coffee vendor, dropped to one knee, pressing his back against the teller's desk for protection. Having seen their cohort incapacitated, the third robber, face ashen behind his mask, fired a single warning shot into the ceiling, then darted toward the front doors. As he passed the security guard's booth, the guard lunged forward to slam the gate controls, but the robber kicked free and burst through the vestibule, colliding with the armored glass just as Mama Bear reared up on the sidewalk outside. The impact sent a shower of sparks across the entryway, and the robber tumbled onto the pavement, gasping for breath. Inside, Manager Roberts flung open the back office door, her voice trembling but resolute. "Everybody out! Now!" She guided the petrified customers toward the unmatched safety of the front lobby's reinforced walls. Natalie, head teller, dove beneath her station and punched the second silent alarm, summoning the approaching sheriff's deputies. Mama Bear's final roar, muffled through the glass, was the last straw for the would-be thieves. Two scrambled across the empty lobby, guns still in hand, while the third crawled across the pavement to escape the bear's shadow. In less than 30 seconds, the entire heist collapsed into disorganized retreat, bandits fleeing for fear of jaws and claws rather than facing armed deputies. As the bank's heavy doors clanged shut behind the last robber, the lobby fell silent except for the echo of pounding hearts. Customers and staff emerged from their hiding places, eyes wide, gratitude and disbelief mingling in every drawn breath. Through the security camera's feeds, still rolling but now focused on empty counters, the footage would later show the extraordinary moment when a mother bear's roar turned a violent crime into a foiled folly, protecting terrified patrons with nothing more than her primal authority. Moments after Mama Bear's roar rattled the entryway, the atmosphere inside Pinecrest Savings and Trust transformed from terror to outright pandemonium. The trio of robbers, disoriented and adrenaline-fueled, darted toward the front doors, only to confront the greatest obstacle of all, the bear blocking their path. The lead gunman, face pale beneath his mask, thrust his pistol forward instinctively, but his aim wavered as he saw the bear's massive silhouette filling the glass doors. The second robber, still sprawled by the ferns, scrambled to his feet, yanking off his mask, and bolted across the marble floor for the side exit. His partner at the counters flung open the vault door in a panic, snatching a duffel bag already half filled by a trembling teller, then joined the mad dash. Chaos reigned, stamped feet, shattering glass, and the wail of car alarms outside as security gates clanged shut. Customers, their hearts still racing, seized the moment to flee. Mr. and Mrs. Whitaker grabbed Anna's hand and her toddler's little arm, sprinting past overturned chairs and upended paperwork. Jamal, the coffee vendor entrepreneur, vaulted over the teller rail, emptying his pockets of loose change as he ran. Natalie, the head teller, ushered her colleagues toward the manager's office, throwing the heavy door shut and locking it behind her. Outside, the robbers tumbled onto the asphalt, less than 5 feet from the bear's powerful paws. One robber dropped the duffel in fright, spilling wads of cash across the lot. Their boots slipped on loose bills as they scrambled to regain purchase, while Mama Bear, standing guard, emitted a low growl that froze them in their tracks. The bear's cubs peeked from behind a hedge, but the mother never took her eyes off the intruders. Within seconds, the first patrol cars arrived, lights flashing and sirens wailing. Deputies jumped out, weapons drawn. But the robbers were no longer intent on confrontation. One by one, they raised their hands in surrender and collapsed to the ground, too frightened by the bear to resist. Inside the lobby, as the echo of glass shards settled, the remaining staff and customers emerged from their makeshift shelters. They stared at the vault door ajar, the overturned furniture, and the shattered veneer of normalcy. Yet, hearing the distant police commands and seeing deputies handcuff the robbers near the bear, a collective wave of relief washed over them. In the aftermath of those frantic moments, when snarls and gunshots vied with the bear's thundering roar, Clear Creek's most ordinary bank lobby had become the scene of an extraordinary rescue. The roaring mother bear, invisible on the security feeds, but forever etched in the memories of everyone present, had turned a violent heist into a swift, clownish retreat, ensuring that no customer emerged harmed and that the stolen cash remained scattered, unclaimed at her feet. As the last of the masked robbers lay cuffed on the cold asphalt, eyes wide with lingering terror, the morning sun broke through the maple boughs, casting golden shafts across the abandoned duffel bag that lay spilled open beside him. Deputies, rifles lowered but still at the ready, guided each trembling criminal toward the back of their patrol cars, while a pair of officers carefully collected the scattered bills, slipping them back into secured evidence envelopes. Inside the bank's lobby, shattered glass glittered like diamonds against the marble floor, and overturned chairs formed jagged silhouettes against fallen paperwork. But the greatest sight was the small crowd of customers and staff emerging from their hiding places, faces pale but alive with relief. Natalie, cheeks streaked with tears, hugged the stroller-clutching Anareas as the toddler stared wide-eyed at the commotion. Jamal, legs still shaking, retrieved his dropped briefcase and offered it with a crooked smile to his astonished colleagues, who patted his back as though celebrating a miracle. Out in the parking lot, the mother bear, Mama Bear, stood for a moment in the dappled light, her powerful frame framed by the bank's red brick facade. Her two cubs, tucked behind her hind legs, peeked out with curiosity, but stayed close to her side. Deputies, respecting the bear's fierce presence even in victory, backed away slowly, giving her an unspoken nod of gratitude. The cubs squeaked softly and Mama Bear exhaled a low chuff, her breath steaming in the crisp autumn air. A hush fell over the scene as Chief Alvarez, flanked by Sheriff's Captain Morales, stepped forward from the gathering crowd. His gaze lingered on the bear, then swept across the shaken but unharmed customers. "Thanks to our unexpected guardian," he announced, his voice firm yet amazed. "Not a single person was hurt, no shots were fired, and the stolen money, still here, can be returned." A ripple of applause rose, tentative at first, then stronger, as frightened gratitude gave way to elation. One of the deputies gently herded Mama Bear and her cubs back toward the tree line, ensuring a clear path. The bear paused at the edge of the asphalt, glancing over her shoulder as if to say farewell to the very humans she had protected. Then, with regal poise, she turned and melted into the underbrush, her cubs following in her wake until all three silhouettes vanished into the shifting shadows of Maplewood's forested edge. In the bank's freshly reopened lobby, its doors repaired and reinforced, customers sipped coffee offered by a hastily assembled refreshment cart. Staff members swept away the last of the broken glass as the morning resumed its ordinary rhythm, albeit tinged forever with the memory of what had just passed. Outside, in the quiet of the now empty parking lot, the fallen bills lay undisturbed, emblems of a crime undone by a mother's fierce roar, and Maplewood Lane exhaled, safe once more under the watchful guardianship of its wildest citizen. By late afternoon, the sun hung low over Maplewood Lane, painting golden light across the freshly mended pavement outside Pinecrest Savings and Trust. In the quiet that followed the morning's upheaval, townspeople gathered beneath the broad canopy of maples that framed the bank's parking lot. A simple wooden pedestal, draped in burlap, stood at the very spot where Mama Bear had roared and sent the robbers fleeing. Chief Alvarez, flanked by Sheriff Morales and Manager Roberts, stepped up to the makeshift stage. The crowd, families clutching toddlers, bank employees still dusting off marble floors, curious neighbors, fell silent. Children from the nearby elementary school held wildflower bouquets and jars of berries, offerings for the unnamed heroine whose instinctive fury had protected them all. Alvarez cleared his throat and unveiled a bronze plaque mounted on the pedestal. It bore the likeness of a mother bear, head thrown back in mid-roar, cubs flanked safely by her side, and the inscription, "In eternal gratitude to the guardian of Maplewood. Her roar saved us all." October 2025. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves as Alvarez spoke of the midnight roar that had turned criminals into frightened fugitives and spared every customer from harm. He lauded the bank's staff for their courage under fire and the deputies for their swift, respectful handling of the situation, but reserved his greatest praise for the wild mother whose thunderous voice had become the town's unexpected shield. One by one, children stepped forward to place their bouquets and berry jars at the plaque's base. Mrs. Hanley, who first glimpsed the bear at dawn, draped a length of red ribbon around the pedestal. Neighbors laid handwritten thank you notes, quotes from shocked robbers, grateful customers, even Natalie's trembling voice. "I've never felt so safe watching a bear." As twilight deepened, the ceremony closed with a moment of hushed remembrance. No bear appeared to claim the honor. She and her cubs had vanished into the forest's edge, true to their solitary nature. Yet, in every bowed head and whispered thank you, the people of Maplewood pledged to guard her legend and to listen for the roar that once rescued them from danger. In that solemn dusk, the bond between human and wild was sealed, protector and protected, forever joined by the echo of a mother's mighty roar.